Why the purple light? Hmm. Because this is a review, or not even a review. This is my thoughts on the movie, The Color Purple, the new one, not the original one, but the new Color Purple with Fantasia as Miss Seeley. Yeah. So here are my thoughts. Hmm. Where do I begin? Wow, this is a lot. Okay, so damn, I really don't even know where to begin. Well, let me first say the artistry involved with this movie was great. The singing, the choreography, the cinematography, all of the technical wonderment that you can imagine was absolutely great. And that is where my love for this movie stops. So many people have issues, including myself, with some of the themes of the story of The Color Purple and the vilification of black men. And, I understand when Alice Walker wrote this movie, wrote this book that the movie's based upon, um, that was her perspective. Um, yeah, that was her perspective. But, I always ask the question, you know, of all the stories and great stories that are often told, why was that one told, and why was there no redeeming quality of any black man in this movie? But or in the original movie, I should say. Um, you know, everyone was pretty terrible. Um, yeah. With this new movie, and I'm speaking vague because I know many of you all haven't seen it, and I don't want to be give spoiler or anything. Um, there are some plot differences, or I'm sorry, there are some subtle differences, artistic differences that they took, with certain things, certain parts of the story that are different from the original, and so that part was creative, and you know. The movie was almost enjoyable on the surface, but I just don't operate on the surface. Sometimes I like mindless movies, but this wasn't one of them. There's so many messages in this movie, and every single one of those messages was black men are terrible. Black men are just a step below the oppressive slave master. It was so for me as a heterosexual black man that has advocated and continues to advocate for women's rights, uh, you know, women's equity, not just equality, but equity. Um, it was hard for me to watch this, and I know it's perspective. Everybody has one, so I'm not saying the movie is right or wrong. I'm speaking from the perspective of someone who I'm an advocate for um, the black male empowerment as well as black female empowerment. I'm an advocate for um, functional black families. I'm an advocate for um, my three sons um, to have a space in this world where they can grow up and be men. Um, I'm an advocate for our stories being told and our perspectives being told. And every male stereotype that was depicted as this so called toxic masculinity, which I have an issue with that word um, and what that entails, but it was amplified in this and exaggerated. It was, man, the dudes in this movie were horrible. They were horrible. Not a single one of them was worth anything. And I'm not giving away any plot stuff. You know, go see the movie for yourself. But I'm telling you right now, if you're a heterosexual straight man that doesn't um you know live on trampling on women's rights, I'm just telling you that, you know, you're not gonna like this movie. You're not gonna like the movie. Yes, you will find certain parts of it entertaining. Let me just say, soundtrack, performances, vocals, all of that was spot on. It was good. It was one of those things where I was enjoying it on the surface and seething while I was watching it and enjoying the part on the surface. But my deep down in, was not enjoy. I was not enjoying. I was ready for the movie to be done. Um, And I know there may be a lot of people that disagree with me on, this movie when they see it. Oh, they're going to say it's great. And these are some of the same people that just thought The Color Purple was the best thing ever, the original movie. And I will say that the original movie, on the surface is a masterpiece. Um, it's a great story told. Steven Spielberg did a great job. This one was produced, pretty much, done by us. Let me just say again, choreography was so dope. So if you don't know, the only spoilers, in case you didn't know, that this is a musical. Is kind of based on the Broadway version of The Color Purple, more so than the original screenplay. But it's not exactly that either. You have to see it for what it is. And I do encourage you all to see it. I just want you to have an open and honest conversation about it when you see it. I think, if nothing else, it should encourage real conversations between men and women and some of the pain that we've inflicted upon each other, both physically and emotionally, over the past, you know, century, or 150, 160 years since we've gotten out of slavery. Um, I think we should have a real dialogue, pull the scab off and let's talk about it without all of the superficial, men ain't crap, women ain't crap stuff. Gold diggers, providers, folks wanting, I need an alpha male, or I can't deal with a woman you know, who's self sufficient. These characters are in this movie and they're amplified, and, you know, they're almost caricatures of reality. And I'm afraid that if we don't have a real dialogue about it, that folks will take it as art imitating reality. I'm not going to say art imitating life, but yeah, it was a tough movie for me to get through. Um, but again, kudos to Fantasia, who played a heck of a role. Taraji, um, she was dope. I mean, their roles were really, really good. There was some really great aspects in the creativity. I mean, I always ask anytime somebody remakes a song, a movie, or a TV show, you know, what's the point of remaking it when it was already good? Um, I'm not saying I'm against it. The same reason why people, you know, remake Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet. I think the stories can be told in different ways. A good story is a good story. I just wonder, there's so many negative depictions of black men in this again. And that's all I'm talking about on this from that perspective. That this movie seemed to have doubled down on it. Um, yeah. So we can talk about it. Tell me in the comments your thoughts on it, and let's, have a dialogue about it. That's that's it. I said I wasn't gonna do another live before Christmas, but once I saw this movie, I had to come back and at least talk about it again. So, and share my thoughts. I said I had reservations going in. I tried to have an open mind, and I was hoping that it was gonna be a little bit more balanced, but it was even more um, divisive. If you think about it from my perspective, well, from my perspective, I felt that it was even more divisive than the first movie. Um, but the artistry was great. The artistry was great, and I appreciate good artistry and creativity. So, if you want me to rate the movie, I'll have to give it an 8.5 on artistry, um, a on a 7 or 8 even on execution, and I'm gonna have to give it a 2 on moving the needle forward towards pop culture influencing um, an egalitarian system between black men and women. Yeah, that's my thoughts. I'll see y'all on the flip side. Merry Christmas. After all of that.